Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
So everyone's talking about the same thing. You know what the story is, and I'm joined now by Diane Abbott, who's known and worked with Jeremy Corbyn for a very long time indeed. Diane, welcome. Good to have you here. First of all, when it comes to the core question of anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, where do you think the boundary lies?
First of all, let me say I'm Shadow Secretary of State for International Development. And secondly, let me say I take anti-Semitism extremely seriously. Partly because I represent one of the oldest and most historic Jewish communities in the country. And even as we speak, I have Jewish schools in my constituency that have to have special police protection because of fears of anti-Semitic violence. I take anti-Semitism extremely seriously, so does the party. That's why there's been, I think, 12 allegation of anti-Semitism since Jeremy became leader has resulted in a suspension. Ken was suspended within hours.
So how do you explain what Ken Livingstone was saying? Where do you think it comes from, this kind of politics?
It's far be it from me to explain Ken. My point is this: 12 allegations at a time when 200,000 new people have joined the party. Everyone's resulted in a suspension. Furthermore, we're taking a new code of conduct to the NEC, which will put anti-Semitism and racism and Islamophobia explicitly in the rule book to make it harder to crack down on them. And of course, we're having the Chakrabarti inquiry into anti-Semitism and racism.
But this starts with Ken Livingstone making some kind of link, or supposed link, between Nazism and Zionism. And this is something that goes back in the left of the Labour Party quite a long way, as we both know.
Come on, Andrew. It doesn't start with that. You know,
Where does it start, then?
Well, anti-Semitism has its roots in the 19th century in the Tsarist pogroms. If that's what you want to talk about.
I'm asking about the connection between Nazism and Zionism made by Ken Livingstone. And I'm saying, you know, there were cartoons, and I've got one here, in the Labour Herald going back in the Ted Knight days, London Labour briefing. These connections were being made between Zionism and Nazism from the 1980s. When you were involved in the Labour Party, we both remember these.
Andrew, are you trying to say to me that the Labour Party, now or in the past, has a particular problem with anti-Semitism and the Conservative Party and other parties do not?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the Labour Party has got a problem, though, and, you know, you're here to talk about it and address it, which is why I'm asking you these questions.
Well, you know yourself a number of Labour Party members, some of whom in your immediate family. Have they turned into anti-Semites overnight? What? The reality is that there have been 12 incidents in the period when Jeremy is leader, and some of those remarks predate Jeremy being leader. 12, 200,000 people have joined the party. Ken was suspended within hours.
And what's your message to him now? Should he apologise properly?
Have you ever known Ken apologise for anything?
No, but this might be a good time to start.
Ken's remarks were extremely offensive. He was suspended within hours. There's going to be an investigation, and, you know, the party will decide what happens to Ken.
A lot of your colleagues think that it would be outrageous to let him back into the party and very, very damaging to the party if he's allowed in again after what he said and without apologising. What he said is so offensive to so many Jewish people that he should not come back in again.
Ken will have due process, just like anybody else.
But in a sense, what more do you need to know?
Ken will have due process, and the party will decide what happens. And, you know, it's something of a smear against ordinary party members.
Absolutely not.
No, it is.
Absolutely not.
It is
that's
a smear
I'm sorry,
to
that's
say
ridiculous.
that the Labour Party has a problem with anti-Semitism.
You've just set up an inquiry to look into it. If you haven't got a problem, why have you set up an inquiry?
There are issues.
If there's no problem.
There's issues about process, because there's nothing in the rules about anti-Semitism, racism, Islamophobia. We're going to make the rules explicit.
So it's not a problem, it's just a process thing.
Anti-Semitism is a problem across Europe. We've seen what happened in Paris. We've seen the rise of the French National Front. 200,000 people have joined the Labour Party. You're saying, because there have been 12 reported incidents of hate speech online, that the Labour Party is somehow intrinsically anti-Semitic?
There are elements in left-wing thought which have gone on for a long time. They are not the whole Labour Party, they are part of the Labour Party, and they have been equating Jews and Nazis right for a long time, which is deeply, deeply offensive. So I'm talking nonsense, am I? OK, so what about this? Here is the photograph from a newspaper edited by Ken Livingstone in the 1980s, Labour Herald. I don't know if people can see this. What could be more anti-Semitic than that? Is that a smear, or is that a...
Andrew, I joined the Labour Party because some of the bravest and strongest fighters against racism and anti-Semitism were in the party. There is no basis for arguing, as you seem to be arguing, that the Labour Party is riddled with anti-Semitism.
I didn't say riddled, I said there's a specific tradition, which is worrying.
It's not fair on ordinary Labour Party members who must be shocked. Some of whom have spent a lifetime fighting racism and anti-Semitism in their schools, in their community, amongst people they know, to get up this morning and hear you insinuate the Labour Party is riddled with anti-Semitism.
I said that there is a very clear problem, and I've given you an example of it, and you don't seem to be taking it seriously. That's a problem.
How can I not take anti-Semitism seriously representing Hackney? How can I not take anti-Semitism seriously when I have school children that go to school in fear of violent anti-Semitic attacks? What I'm saying to you, we take it extremely seriously, and we've taken all possible action. I heard the Israeli ambassador earlier. He was talking about dialogue. I think dialogue is very important. I was at the Jewish Board of Deputies President's dinner. I spoke to a lot of people about this issue. I think we need to have more dialogue.
So something clearly has gone wrong. The Board of Deputies think something has gone wrong. The Jewish Chronicle thinks something is wrong. The ambassador thinks something has gone wrong. So, and your party has set up an inquiry. So what I'm asking you really is, where are the roots of the problem in your view, ideologically and politically? Is it to do with an equation between the Israeli state and fascism in Europe that some people have made in the past, and is that a heinous and disgraceful comparison?
Anti-Semitism has been an issue in British society going back to the 19th century, and it would be strange if this didn't affect the Labour Party at all. But the argument that the Labour Party is intrinsically anti-Semitic does not bear exposure to the facts.
Right. Nobody except yourself has said that you used the word intrinsically anti-Semitic.
Well,
those were your words, not mine.
That is your implication, and that's the implication of some of the comments I've read this week.
Not.
I'm afraid it is the implication. And I think the Labour Party and Labour Party members have a lot to be proud of in standing up to racism and anti-Semitism long before it was fashionable.
Do you think that the long-running saw of the behaviour of the Jewish state, the Israeli state, towards Palestinian settlers has created a radicalised group of people, many of whom are now in the Labour Party, who are so angry about what's happening that they have been at the least loose in their language? There
are many people who don't support the policies of Benjamin Netanyahu, including millions of Israelis. But these are matters for debate. Of course they've got to be matters for debate.
But Jeremy Corbyn, for instance, had a shake-in and described him as an honoured citizen and gave him tea in the House of Commons after he had repeated the blood libel.
It's all too easy to take... It's all too easy to take remarks out of context. Anybody who says that Jeremy Corbyn is an anti-Semite cannot sustain that argument. And I don't believe the British people.
I don't believe there is anybody out there who thinks that Jeremy Corbyn hates Jews.
Some people are talking as if that is the case. You know, you can take remarks out of context. The fact remains, I take anti-Semitism very seriously. I would do anyway. And living amongst the people I do and seeing the fear, I take it extremely seriously, and the party takes it seriously. That is why everybody against whom there's been an allegation of anti-Semitism has been suspended within 48 hours, and Ken was suspended within hours.
But what has happened in the Middle East has created huge anger about the actions of the Israeli government, and that has caused a kind of bubbling of more and more extreme language. I should say that Seamus Milne did not say that it was a crime to create the Israeli state. What he said was it was a crime that what had been done to dispossessed Palestinians and the involvement of the British government in that since about 1908. So let me make that clear. Nonetheless, this anger has created an atmosphere in which there have been lots of debates at university campuses across the country, and you've seen what's happened in the NUS. Do you not think there is some kind of issue there that is difficult? I mean,
all political issues are difficult. We need to have a debate around the Middle East. We need to move the process forward. The peace process has stalled. And it's a fact that millions of Israelis do not support the policies of the present Israeli government. These are facts, not about being angry. These are about the facts. And we need to continue to have a debate, because these are vital issues, not just for the millions of people in the region, but for the world.
I said right at the beginning of the programme, I asked the question whether this was the beginnings of the long muttered about coup against Jeremy Corbyn. Is that how you see it?
Well, you know, I mean, these people talk about coups. These are people who did not accept the result of last summer's leadership election. Their candidate
We're talking about Labour Blairites, as it were, people on the right of the
we're talking
party.
about people whose candidate got 4.5%, Jeremy got 60%. If, you know, I think it would be very unfortunate if we had another leadership election. The party can scarcely afford it financially. But more important, the party should be concentrating on fighting the Tories. But if people are intent on having a leadership election, then we may have one. But I have to say to you, if Jeremy's on the ballot, Jeremy wins. All the polling shows that Jeremy is as popular with Labour Party members as he was when he was first elected.
We can hardly accuse embittered Blairite MPs of causing this, because Ken Livingstone started this race. Whoever he's working for, it's not them, as it were. Nonetheless, there are lots of people around who want Ken Livingstone out, who are going to be looking who want Jeremy Corbyn out. Ken Livingstone's out already, who will be looking very carefully at the results of the local elections. What do you think how do you think the Labour leadership should handle the next week or two? It's going to be quite critical.
First, let me say, it's precisely because I take anti-Semitism very seriously that I would be dismayed if some people were hurling around accusations of anti-Semitism as part of some intra-Labour Party dispute. Anti-Semitism is a lot more serious than that. I mean,
Do you think that's been going on?
I would be very dismayed if it had been going on. What I'm saying is this. Yesterday, I was in Derbyshire campaigning for these elections on Thursday. What Labour people have to do is to get out and work. And in particular in London, it's really important Labour people come out and vote, because the last time the Tory vote was, I think, at 40%, but in Labour boroughs it was only 28%. If Labour people in London come out to vote, we can win this thing.
But Sadiq Khan clearly is really worried that this row has hammered his chances.
What's hammered Sadiq's chances has been the most extraordinary Islamophobic campaign by the Tory party. I never thought I'd see a British Prime Minister stand up in the House of Commons and repeat Islamophobic slurs. If anyone needs an inquiry, David Cameron needs an inquiry into Islamophobia in the Tory party.
Diane Abbott, thank you very much indeed for joining us.